I had not expected to spend any portion of the second national observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Forsyth County. I had not expected to spend any portion of any day in Forsyth County, and it didn't take this weekend's march and subsequent violence for me to come to that position. This is the only county in Georgia I have ever been called a nigger to my face 3 times on the courthouse steps, twice in the last 15 minutes by some idiots who just drove by. This is the only county in Georgia where I've ever had to prepare to fight 7 teenage boys in the parking lot of a local restaurant. I was in town to cover the tragic murder of Bonnie Dodd. I made the mistake of getting hungry and committed the crime of trying to buy food at 8:30 at night. For that, my vehicle was surrounded by these thugs who thought that racial slurs were cute and all black people were as nonviolent as Martin Luther King Jr. They were dead wrong on both scores. So why come back to Forsyth County? Well, first and foremost, because the memory of Martin Luther King Jr. is still dear and near. It is a memory of challenging any system or city where too many good people have quietly acquiesced to mean racism, where the leaders of church and commerce and culture have suffered in silence while a few ignorant, evil men have become the symbols of an entire county. I remember a Martin Luther King Jr. who built movements and not the monuments which have almost become the symbols of his life and death. I remember a Martin Luther King Jr. who challenged an all-white power structure in Montgomery, Alabama, not because blacks had been a part of that community either, but because they had a fundamental right to be there. I remember a Martin Luther King Jr. who shook the lethargy and complacency and ridiculous notions of status of the black community, which lived less than 30 minutes away from whole counties where they were unwelcomed or excluded. I remember a Martin Luther King Jr. not fooled by the vertigo of self-importance and overindulgence, who challenged blacks and whites to march on a city like Forsyth and Cumming, but as well to march on the suicidal slip in the black community, a slip away from daring dreams toward dangerous drugs and away from substance toward ceremony, which together have collaborated and conspired to shell and kill more black people in the past 20 days than the Klan has in the last 20 years. I remember Martin Luther King Jr. And that's why I had to come back again and again to Forsyth County. With a comment, I'm Ron Saylor.